There.
All right, I believe we are live. Checking on the page here. Hello, everybody. If you're joining us, I think we're live right now. Yes, we are. Hello, welcome, everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension, and thank you for joining us. And today we're going to be getting into a panel on the healing properties of cannabis. And our host for today is Joan of Angels. But before we get started, while we're waiting for people to join us, I'm going to go ahead and do a little spoken word piece here, just as an invocation to set the energy of, just this moment right here. And then we're going to get into the panel discussion for today. And just to let everybody know, we do have a 2-day online conference coming up tomorrow for 2 days for, I think, around 6 hours a day. 2-day online cannabis conference, the first ever Portal to Ascension conference on the topic of cannabis. So that is what the topic is on today. So here we go. I'm going to do this poem right now. This is called The Journey. The journey goes on for generations. The travelers would disperse the energy amongst all the willingly incarnated souls. But what if the ones who didn't know? Amnesia of the internal endowment to reserve a place in the fifth dimension for themselves. The ego took control in a better life they shall never know. I welcome you, dark one, into the lap of luxury full of our pain and woes. We all sold our souls to the devil, but the devil exists not. Negative energy we dub as evil create the demons of whom we are fearful. Take the D from the demon, put in front of the word evil, now you're a personified devil. Our thoughts and experiences create a creature only exists in the mind. Our desires and wants creates this full-featured ego that keeps our lower selves from reaching the divine. Intellect, love, and a perfect understanding we will have with one another. I welcome you, my brother, my sister, my lover, to become one, to help me become one, before reality takes me from duality and back into ether's imagination. You see, I'm the ghost of lies past. Generations have descended to gain these experiences, and to pray the human situation is critical, mind analytical, won't let me forget the fall of angels and demons in its third dimensional world. Is this planet yours? May I hide amongst the lost souls? Hide out for a bit, drink some liquor, smoke some weed, and step outside for a cigarette? Yeah, sure, man. Here's a social security card. You may live. Reincarnated a kid to live and give back to the society. When I'm locked in borders through the smolder, but to the ashes comes a horde of abstract thought, who is not a ghost, a spirit, but just is. An enlightened individual. Equality minus elitist political goal, the cynical flow, the pain and woes, and shamanistic pagan rituals. We will resurrect the Messiah in all of us. It's time to trust our brothers and sisters. Unity of mind, consciousness, awareness on the rise. The yin yang intertwined, masculine, feminine lovers intertwined. Spit worse than the chakra points in my spine. Relentless, but still find inner peace, health, and the place of my corrupted mind. Chemtrails, aspartame, fluoride, kept my awareness by getting drunk and high. But the consequence, why am I really here? But now I know is to help humanity steer into the right direction. For every single one of you, I feel affection. We're in the same situation. So erase the awkward moments, trying to walk around and get that bonus. Remember, the Arcturians will be one of the group of interdimensional beings in the near future. The mass landings will help us really breathe. So raise your frequency if this is what you want to see. And don't try to break free from the shackles of captivity that we formed in our own mentality, because you and I, we've always been free. Whew.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Very good.
Yes, bravo.
Thank you, guys. So
Namaste.
hello,
Namaste.
everybody. We are
Hello.
live, and we do have quite a few people joining us right now. So hello, everybody. Today, we're getting into the healing properties of cannabis panel, and this is about promotion of our 2-day online free conference starting tomorrow. That's the first Portal to Ascension conference that we've done on the topic of cannabis, but it's really been like a 2 to 3 year journey of attempting to move forward to us to be able to create this event and then soon move them into live events. And I'm extremely excited to bring on right now my wife and myself, best friend and the co-producer of this event, Joan of Angels.
Yay,
That's
Joan.
so exciting. All right, I'm going to give everyone a big hand, right? I see this huge crowd. Guys,
Yes.
This is our first cannabis online conference, but honestly, Neil and I have already been busy planning live in-person events with experts from around the country, and we're just so excited to share this. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm known as Joan of Angels, but I'm actually also Dr. Joan Hangarter, and I am a chiropractor. And I have spent the last 40 years really working with people to work to really improve their health, wealth, and happiness from within. And cannabis, to me, is one of those most perfect miracle plants that not only harmonizes our body and can heal our body, but heals our soul, and with no toxicity. And so it's the most amazing exciting thing. And for a chiropractor to be able to sort of bring out the forefront of how we look at cannabis, how we use it, how it's part of the whole wellness, build up your own immune system, take care of your own health, kind of, this is the whole movement of what cannabis really brings to the table. So I have 3 wonderful experts on how to use cannabis to heal yourself from the inside out. And we're going to start, I think, first with my friend Ruth Hill. Ruth is here in Coachella Valley with me. She is actually a nurse practitioner, and she has been treating people. She's a specialist in how to use cannabis for health and wellness. And we're going to just bring her on. She can tell you a little bit about her and how she uses this with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me, Joan. I am really excited about this tomorrow. And I'm excited to be on your Facebook. So that's awesome. Anyway, I've got over 50 years of experience in nursing. My specialty is hospice and palliative care. So when I retired, I kind of thought this was a good segue to get into learning about cannabis. And oh my goodness, I couldn't believe all the science behind it. I started out by finding a solution to my, I was taking morphine for my very bad back. I had ruptured disc and I had surgery ×1. And so as you get older, your bones are still the same. They're still deteriorating. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go away. You just learn to deal with the pain. And even though you correct something, you're going to have ongoing deterioration. So even though I was fine for a while, the older I get, the more problems I have with my back. So I had to retire from my home health experience because getting in and out of the car that many times a day, I go to patients' homes. I'm not in one place in a clinic. I go to patients' homes. So it was just difficult for me. And I was at that time using morphine extended release. So I said, that's it, because I need to get on something different. So I saw an ad in the paper, and my partner said, why don't you try it? And she's a very, very conservative, would never doesn't even like pills because she has overreactions to them. So wow, for her to tell me to do that. So anyway, that's how my journey started. And I was easily able to get off of my opiates, but it was a lot more difficult to get off of my other drugs for sleep and for Lyrica and all those drugs. It's a little bit more difficult to get off of those. So anyway, I started studying it and became a consultant, and that's what I do. I give lectures to medical groups. I've spoken to the Oncology Nurses Society. I've spoken to the local society. I've spoken to nurses at conferences. I've also done lectures to the community here in the little community centers where they have these luncheons for the seniors. So I lectured around the Coachella Valley here. There's about 6 places that I went to. So anyway, I started doing that, and now I have a website, ruthahillrn.com. And I just put up my website about a month ago, and I'm going to be reviewing books about cannabis. I'm going to put up my poetry because I'm also a poet. And I am going to put my articles, because I write articles every other week on cannabis. And so people can look at my articles, and that's what I do. So I work with a group, Holistic Caring, in San Diego. Elizabeth Mack is the one that is putting out all kinds of, branding specific videos for people, because she's teaching nurses to do what I'm doing and what she's doing. So that's my spiel. So If you have any specific questions, or do you want me to go into the questions, or are you going to ask me
No,
later?
we're gonna come back. We're gonna
Okay,
circle
so
you
that's
after
good.
everyone kind of
Okay.
gives a little overview, and thank you so much, Ruth. I met
Okay,
you at I want everyone to know I met her at one of those meetings at a luncheon. It was the hospitality business of Palm Springs, now getting into how do we make cannabis available to our visitors. So it's really exciting. So thank you, Ruth, love.
okay.
And I think now we'll take Leonard. Hi, Leonard. I want to introduce Leonard Lanao to our people. He has a lot of experience, 3 decades worth of growing and studying medical cannabis. And this is his great book, CBD. You can get it on Amazon, A Patient's Guide to Medicinal Cannabis. So he's an expert in how to get well. So why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Joan, thank you very much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited. I don't often go around self-promoting, or I'm more of a introvert, so you got to ask questions and pull stuff out of me. But let me give you a brief background.
Okay, you're on.
So I started using cannabis. I was actually a senior in college, so that was 1965. That was a couple of years ago. So that's like almost 60 years ago, 58 years ago. So I've been using it since then. The funny thing that I laugh about is that I was in engineering school at UCLA, and my senior year, when I started using cannabis, I hardly ever went to class. I had more fun, and I got the best grades of any year in school. So
Of course.
I got to my intuition coming in and taking over and giving me the information that I needed to have whenever I took an exam. So that's kind of funny. After that, I somehow managed to fail my draft physical, and took off for traveling, went to Europe, and ended up in India, where I lived in India for 5 years. And I became a sadhu, a holy man wandering around and just, living on spirit and faith. And met a lot of other sadhus who were using cannabis as part of their spiritual practice. And of course, I was trying it out in different areas. I ended up living in Kulu Valley, which is about a 5,000-foot elevation up in the foothills of the Himalaya Mountains. A great place for growing cannabis. And the little cabin that I was staying in, it was growing wild all around there, just self-seeding, what we call a land race. So it grows flowers, it drops the seeds, and they come back the next year. So there were a lot of sadhus used to visit our property and make their own hash. And I actually got into the import-export business back then to support my lifestyle so that I could afford to live in India for 5 years. But it doesn't take much to live there. I think I lived 1 year, cost me $300 for the whole year.
Oh, wow.
But a sadhu is somebody who's, sleeping out on the ground and not, not staying in fancy hotels. Anyhow, that's my experience, goes way back then. And I have to say, back then, I really wasn't interested in the medicinal uses of it, but I did start to learn the healing arts when I was in India and picked up several techniques. I met some swamis that taught me how to douse and how to, work with the energy and all of that. And they had a clinic, they were doing homeopathic medicines, and they used to douse to figure out what each client needed. And I thought that was kind of cool. When I came back from there and came back to the US, had a family and children, I used that dowsing technique to analyze and diagnose my kids, whatever they needed, if they were out of balance or something. At that time, I was into homeopathic and herbal medicines. I've never cared much for Western medicine. I've had diseases that Western medicine would come in and get rid of whatever was wrong, but 6 months later, it was back again. But you get rid of it with herbs, it's gone, it never comes back. So I was more of a fan of herbal medicine. I studied the healing arts. I learned how to do deep tissue body work, and some of the techniques that I learned in India, having spirit flow through you while you're working. And then I got into cannabis as a business 12 years ago, and I started growing it, making my own medicine, making tinctures. And about 2 years after I was into it, I had a client that had cancer. And lo and behold, in 3 months, we had shrunk her tumors 50%. And after 6 months, all her cancer was gone. And that was after I started using CBD. So for that person, I was using a combination of CBD and THC in pretty high level doses. But my experience was, holy shit, if this is what this plant can do, it can get rid of cancer. And I'm not saying it's the cure. I'm not allowed to say I found the cure, but I have. Don't tell anybody.
We're going to tell everyone.
The AMA gets a little upset if you.
Yeah.
Oncologists have spent a lot of money developing their careers, and they don't like it that people come along and can grow medicine in their backyard that works better than what they're spending $100,000 on. Anyhow, I started a medical collective. I've got about 1,200 active members in that collective now. It's in California. We have a website, synergycbd.com. That is the Synergy Wellness website. So Synergy does sell THC combined with CBD, a lot of products there. I have another company called healingessence.cbd.com, and they just sell CBD products. A little bit of THC, but enough to be what they would call hemp. I never use the word hemp, but cannabis with very low THC. The advantage of that company is it can ship to all 50 states, actually 49 states. Idaho still has a ban on CBD. But, if somebody outside of California wanted to buy our products, they could go to the Healing Essence CBD, and there's an online shopping cart. They could buy it there, and we'll ship it out to them. So we're a small company. We do everything by hand. I'm not supposed to promote products, I know, but I really believe in handmade, handcrafted, artisanal type of products, because when we make them, all through the process, we're using spiritual energy. We're in line with the cycle of the moon, and we're doing qigong and tai chi with it. The plants, we're praying over them every step of the process in making them. We do tinctures. We've got suppositories, capsules, edibles. We've got a full line of products. But if I were to get bigger and use mass production techniques, it's going to lose the spiritual content. I know that. And also the quality, it goes downhill. It just, you can't do on a large scale what you can do by hand. So when I say spiritual component, what I'm saying is that cannabis is a spiritual plant. It's got the spirit of the plant is alive in the plant. And when we process it and make tinctures and medicine, we try and make sure that spirit is still there and alive, and it's not, eliminated because you're mass producing it, or you're using people that don't have the consciousness to keep that part of the product alive. I call that quality. So quality control. We don't advertise. We don't sell on Amazon or Weed Maps or any of those places. It's all word of mouth. People like our products, tell their friends, or doctors who tell their friends. So we're kind of low key about the promotion thing. We're all about quality. And I know you're going to ask about dosing and strains. How do you figure out what to do? And I guess I can get into that later, but that's a really tough question to answer because every person is different. So you can't, it's not one size does not fit all. I've got one guy who's super sensitive, and one drop of CBD tincture is too much for him. He has to take it and dilute it 10-to-1 and use those diluted drops. And I've got other people that use massive amounts. It's just, everyone's different. And so to figure it out, you start small, take some, try it out. No one's ever died in 5,000 years, not one death from an overdose of cannabis. So can't hurt yourself. Start small, come up slowly. And I'm looking for medicinal remedies without the side effect, what people call psychoactive. I use the word altered. A lot of people my age don't want to get altered. So you can get the medicinal qualities without the side effects if you start slow, come up slowly, find the spot that's your sweet spot. Works for everybody. That's the book I wrote. It's called, the full title is CBD, A Patient's Guide to Medicinal Cannabis, Healing Without the High. So that's where my expertise lies, how to find that medicinal value without getting high.
Great job, Leonard. I want to tell everyone that this is a great book. It breaks down, I mean, how to take the medicine, how to deal with digestive disorders, asthma, addiction. So it's a really great, it's a great book to have. And you said something really I love. Everyone is different. One size does not fit all. And the truth is the biggest difference between pharmaceuticals and cannabis, you know, it's a wellness philosophy. Each of us has our own DNA, our own genetics, and our own body story. And our next guest, Anya Kravitz, is really going to tell us a little bit about that. She's been working for a long time in cannabis. She's now also working with brands and with genetic testing, if I understand correctly, to determine the type of cannabis that's right for you, because this is not like getting a prescription and getting a Tylenol. You know, and by the way, Tylenol deadens all your nerves. It's not specific. Cannabis has a way of just working with what you need. So we want to hear a little bit about, Anya, your background now.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and
we're happy you're here.
Leonard, I have to get your book because your story was super fascinating, and I have to absolutely get it and read it. And also, you will have another author in the conference, Stephen Gray. He wrote an also incredible book called Spirituality of Cannabis that I read 2 times. I absolutely love this book, and I love the author. And when I actually saw that he was there, I was like, wow. So, and I actually want to compliment Leonard on everything that he said. He was completely dead on through his experience with cannabis and working with medical patients. And really what he was actually doing is compounding personally for each patient's needs. And that is exactly where this industry is first and foremost is heading. It is not one size fits all plant, especially medical cannabis. It is so incredibly personalized. And really quickly to backtrack, my background is I got into cannabis simply because I was looking to heal myself. I have had epilepsy all of my life. I had epilepsy as a child, something that you call here staring spells. And then as I became an adult, I started developing grand mal seizures. And for at least a decade, I have been really struggling with my prescription medications. And just, I kept still having seizures on my prescription medication. So like my quality of life as a young woman, I didn't feel myself. I felt extremely altered, and I had side effects to my prescription medication. Through my journey, I took a trip to the Middle East, and I actually met my very first cannabis patient in the Middle East, and with PTSD. And but before that, I had heard about CBD, that it was really great for epilepsy in 2013. 2012, 2013, when little Charlotte Webb came out, and the whole story on CNN. And that was like my story. Not, it wasn't to the severity, but I was so into it because it's my story also. So I contacted my doctors and I said, I want cannabis. Can you help me? How can we transition me from pharma to cannabis? They were not like for it. They said that they will like take away my driver's license because of seizures. And if you have there's a process, medical process, where they have to report you if you're an epileptic. And my driver's license was already removed for having, seizures prior to that. So they absolutely said no. And I put that on pause, and I trusted my doctors until the side effects of my medications were getting worse and worse. And like, I didn't have an alternative, basically. And for an epileptic, it's a very scary, having epilepsy, especially with grand mal. And there's so many different variations of epilepsy disorder. You just never know, like, you have to be so in tune with your body to know when your next seizure will come. You feel it, like, so that's why being so aware of your own self is so incredibly important, especially for an epileptic person. So, and I found cannabis this way. I saw a PTSD, the Stanley Brothers, I was completely in awe and enamored, but I put it on pause because I didn't have a way. And in 2016, that story repeated itself. I just really became just so incredibly curious and about cannabis as a healing modality, especially for me, now that I meet this other patient with PTSD. And my prior experience to cannabis was really like very minimal. Really just testing it out recreationally, but I never was connected to it or liked anything about it. I didn't understand it. But then the medicinal part was like really the bread and butter. It was just like, wow, I was in awe. And then in 2017, I attended a medical conference in Harvard Medical School. And when I learned about the endocannabinoid system to its core, and I started hearing these doctors from all over the world that had all these results, especially with epilepsy. I was learning the same information that a lot of doctors were learning. And that was also very empowering and enlightening. And through that time, I had already finished transitioning myself from pharma to cannabis. And I had made that decision in 2016 without physician support. And it's through education. I educated myself through it. And it was through experimenting also. Because it had such an impact, cannabis had such an impact in my life. I started creating different events and pop-up shops before legalization here in Southern California, which became a huge success. And basically my whole purpose for that was, we have this incredible plant and we have these incredible manufacturers that are creating these amazing products that no one really knows how to use or is aware of. And I'm speaking mostly about like wellness and products for women as well. And then you have this curious consumer. So what we did was, me and my team, we created these events that married the manufacturer and the consumer together. And it was a full entire experience. And my background, my career has always been in product development and branding for beauty and wellness industry as well. So this was a natural transition for me because now it had a purpose. And in 2018, I was just really lucky enough to be part of this company. That was 2017, actually, to be part of this company that was doing something innovative and interesting. And it's called EndoCanna Health. EndoDNA is the website, and it's direct to consumer DNA test that tests your genetics and your endocannabinoid genes that are associated with the endocannabinoid system, and gives you your genetic blueprint and personalizes your experience, gives you a guide on how to personalize your experience to cannabis. And then we also created specific genetically aligned formulations for each category. So this journey has been so incredibly enlightening for me, because I learned twofold. Endocannabinoid system is just, it's a shame that we just only have learned about it in 1992. It is our primary system that regulates everything. We are connected to Earth because of this system. Birds, all kinds of animals, we've had this system for centuries. And it's also an indication that we're connected to other plants as well, because of how the endocannabinoid system works within us. We produce our own endogenous cannabinoids, and then we're lucky enough to find in nature a plant, phytocannabinoids, that mimics our own endogenous cannabinoids. So it's a magical, incredible plant, it's an amazing introduction to plant medicine overall. And then when I learned about genetics and all the science, all the research that has been done and that's continuing to happen based on your own genetics and your own blueprint, it just made so much sense of the importance of understanding what your relationship to cannabis is. Starts with your own understanding of self-health and wellness, of your own genetic blueprint. What kind of metabolizer are you? Are you a fast metabolizer or you're a slow metabolizer? That matters in cannabis. Are you genetically predisposed to anxiety? Find out if you have that, because that plays an important role in your experience with cannabis. Certain terpenes will exacerbate your anxiety. So if you know that information, you empower yourself and you choose what is right for yourself, for your own body. So that's my story. I'm continuing in the journey of empowering and working with obviously EndoDNA, and also working with other different companies and brands and consumers, in elevating and helping them understand how they should first and foremost interact with this medicine.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just a very profound story. And one of the things that fascinated me most about cannabis was its connection with healing epilepsy and seizures. So, I really identified with your experience. But I love each of you have a different approach, and yet all with the general consensus of this is an individualized approach, right? There's no canned plan. We just don't give you a prescription and send you on your way and pray and hope you get better. So I really like that. So I thought we would look at, and we've already started to touch on it, but what is really the difference for people between the medical approach and the approach that you're using? So I come to your door, and I've been all around to all the different doctors. What's the difference in your approach with me?
Well, I'll go first. So I'm really into the medical, because I'm not interested to tell you how to get high. Okay, you can do that on your own. You can go into any dispensary on your own, and there's plenty of products in there. And the the bud person will tell you how to get high. So there's a lot of people who don't like that we separate that, but I think you have to, because the stigma is still there. Okay. And in order to get rid of the stigma, you have to talk about how you can use it without getting high. And there are plenty of people who want to replace alcohol with cannabis. Okay, so they want to feel good. So go ahead and do that. They can do that themselves. So my focus is on the medical because those people don't want to get high. Not only that, but they have a very specific reason. And so they need a coach. They can't just go into the dispensary and pick anything out for their seizures or pick anything out for their back pain or anxiety, because then they're going to go home and not know how to use it. So to me, I still feel that there is some difference in treating a person for medicinal purposes and treating somebody for recreational. So that's my feeling, and that's just personal because I come from a very, very strong medical background. I'm very conservative in that. I always voted to not have legalized cannabis. So, I have that background. So naturally, and because I come from palliative care, I want to show people how to use it for their symptoms. So that's how I view it.
Makes
For
sense.
that.
And you came as a medical professional.
Yeah, I'm
Very
not, and
important.
I don't drink, so I don't do anything to get high because it makes me uncomfortable. It's not a pleasant experience. And I stopped drinking after college because, it just one drink. And so to me, that's way out in somebody else's realm. And I think you can do that yourself. So I want to be able to help people that need a coach.
Yeah. Well, let me just comment on that if I could. I, as someone who likes to smoke and get high, I completely agree with what you're saying, because I believe that we should separate them too, because the fact is there is a stigma. And my parents, I was born in a conservative Indian household, and at this point, my dad still doesn't even want to hear the word cannabis. If he looks at a billboard, he wants to look away from it.
Right.
Someone told him about investing in cannabis industries. He don't even say the word cannabis, right? He will never invest in that because he has this stigma. The war on drugs really did a toll on a lot of people,
Yes,
So,
it did.
and we don't have to, but we want to reduce the stigma around so that we can use this thing intentionally for the millions of different things that it can be used for, right? For me, I might be using a blanket statement here, but to me, it's a cure-all, like even for rope, clothing, fuel, and then of course, smoking it and the healing properties. So I just wanted to second what you're saying. I agree that we do need to separate them so that we can really focus on the fact that you don't need to be high in order to get healed,
That's right. That's right.
Yes. And also I would say the doses and the dosage that you're taking to get high is not at all what you're going to take to get really well.
Correct.
And that's also, one of the things that I've learned is that, people think, oh, I have cancer and I'm going to take cannabis. And then, oh my God, the cannabis didn't work. Well, probably because, right, Leonard, they're not either dosing right or taking exactly what they're going to need. So how would you say your approach then compared to the medical model? What is your approach with people?
You're asking me?
Yes, Leonard.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
So in the cannabis world, we have a saying, a guideline, less is more. I don't know if you've
Yes.
heard that.
Yes.
It's like, if you need that much to get high or altered, how little can you take and still get the medicinal benefit that you're looking for? Pain is probably the biggest thing that people are trying to get rid of medicinally. From the research that I've done, the surveys that I've done, 55-60% of people are dealing with pain. So, I always tell them, start low, take a little bit, try it out. I prefer tinctures to smoking. Smoking is quicker, but it doesn't last as long. If you got pain it's usually there a long time, chronic pain. So, so maybe you're going to try it 3 times a day, every 6 hours, you can do another dose. So start with 5 drops, start pretty low. You're not going to get high with 5 drops. Next time you do 6 drops, then after that you do 7 drops. You wait till you come down. You're not adding to what you already got. You're starting with a clean slate. And I tell people, chart it, take notes. I took 5 drops. After 1 hour, my pain went from a 8 to a 6, then I took 7 drops and my pain went from a 8 to a 5, so they can end up getting a graph that they plot out to see what the right dose is for them for that condition. And it does change day to day because our systems are organic and always in flux, but it gives you an idea. Whether somebody's using a high dose or a low dose, is requiring a high dose or a low dose, is dependent more on their sensitivity than on their body weight. How sensitive are they? So if they're super sensitive, a little bit goes a long way. So we're trying to figure out how little we can use and still get the good benefits of it. Having done this for 12 years, I can look back and go, okay, well, for cancer, I know they need about 200 milligrams a day, 100 milligrams of CBD and 100 milligrams of THC. And now we're adding CBG into the mix because that's got great anti-cancer properties. So, but it's not, you don't just take it once and okay, now I'm cured. No, it's a process. We can get the body to stop making new cancer cells. We can shrink tumors, but in 3 months, on the average, we're seeing tumors shrink 50% in 3 months. So 6 months maybe to get rid of most cancers, not all cancers, but if it's stage 4 and it's in your liver, maybe we can get it to stop growing. I can't guarantee, there's no guarantees in life, but I will say regarding cancer, stress is the biggest contributor to cancer. So evaluate your life and where can you eliminate stress? Get in harmony, go out in nature, be in a garden, be with flowers. That's going to really help a lot. But having experience with a lot of people, I can come back, so yeah, my primary function now is as a consultant. I do consultations with people. I wrote the book, Patient's Guide to Medicinal Cannabis, initially because everyone was asking me these same questions. So I thought, I'm just going to put it down in a book and they can go read about it. And, they don't have to keep asking me the same questions. They're still asking the same questions, but so it is very individualized. And if somebody is raising their dose and they get up to a level, let's say 10 drops is the right dose for them, and that's working for a while, the body will adjust. And then after a while, maybe you can get by with 8 drops, maybe, it's going to shift and change, but at least we know what range we're working at. So how I evaluate, or not evaluate, but choose what direction to go with strains and dosing. So I ask a couple of questions initially. Can you tolerate THC or not? What's your experience with it? A lot of people that I'm getting are older people like me. They were around in the 60s and the 70s, and they used to love to get high, but then they got, had a family and a life and stopped using, but now they don't like the pharmaceuticals, so they want to come back to cannabis and they don't know what to do. So they come and they consult with me and ask me to help them devise a protocol. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm a healer and an herbalist, but I don't have a medical degree. Anyhow, starting with THC or CBD, and I've got a lot of mixtures of both, and I love mixing them together. But a lot of people just want CBD; they don't want THC. So that'll tell me where we're starting. And then dose wise, it's got to be through personal experience, experimenting with the dose to figure out what dose works for you. Start small, raise it slowly, come up, and you'll find the right dose. So there's, other factors. When I got into the CBD, I said that I had a cancer patient and she got cured. And I had another cancer patient who had astrocytoma, brain tumor. I just talked to her the other day, 10 years since her diagnosis. Yay. Only with cannabis. She got rid of astrocytoma. That's like unheard of. So I was developing all these CBD products back in 2012, 2013, but people weren't coming to buy it, and then Sanjay Gupta came out with his weed documentary with Charlotte Figge, and Charlotte's Web CBD, and then all of a sudden, my phone's ringing off the hook because I got all these products. I've got maybe 25 different CBD tinctures, just a lot of different strains. So we're very experienced in that, but it's like, what are we trying to do? What's the person's personality? Do we want to stimulate them, or do we want to relax them and, bring it down, bring the energy down? So it's very personalized, but it does follow some patterns. And if you set the guidelines up right, it's easy to navigate. I try and educate people so that they can do it themselves. So give them the tools and they'll heal themselves. It's all about self-healing. The main thing is empowering people to take control of their own health care and not, oh, I got to go to a doctor and whatever he says, and you're giving your power away to some other guy who's just, intimidating and trying to make a buck off of you. You can heal yourself, and cannabis can help. It can really help. So I forgot what your question was, but I hope that
You answered it.
That's okay. You went
Leonard,
there.
you nailed it. And I love, that this is all, cannabis is about empowering people to take back their health.
Yeah.
This is pure medical freedom. This is our body. This is aligned with my health, my philosophy, my well-being. I love that it's all about the people here. And so you really think, so far, everyone's been amazing. And it's about personal empowerment here for wellness. What do you think, Anya?
I just want to add, I want to just, I will make it short, and I will add to everything that Ruth and Leonard have said. But one thing I want to really emphasize on is that your dosage, depending how you're consuming it, has to do with your metabolic function. And that is through understanding it's through genetics. So taking a simple genetic test. If you don't want to take it through a service like ours, take it through your doctor. But understanding what your genetic predispositions are is a great start with understanding how to heal yourself. First and foremost, like if you are a poor metabolizer, you then will understand and know what type of dosage you should have. You can, if you're a poor metabolizer, maybe like an edible is not the best idea, period, at all. If you're going to take a tincture, understand that, putting it under your tongue, really waiting 15 seconds and not swallowing it, because if you do swallow, you are just really over processing in your liver. So metabolic function is so incredibly important for starters. If you're going to interact with cannabis orally, inhalation is a different story. Your genetics is a huge blueprint on what your relationship to cannabis is, because if you have genetic predisposition to psychosis, to anxiety, your genetic blueprint will tell you that, and you can really then know what terpene profiles to look for, certain terpene profiles. And that's what another thing I want to emphasize on is full plant, understanding the difference, what you're putting in your body for cannabis, as far as cannabis is concerned. You know, if you're smoking distillate or if you're eating an edible that has distillate, you know, I'm sorry, but that is, I love my edibles and I love my edible companies, but that is not a medicinal way to approach your healing. Distillate
Very
is
good.
white sugar. You want full plant, you want live resin. You don't want edibles that have a ton of sugar, period. Be conscious of what you're buying, how you're buying. And it all starts with the source material. It starts with our beautiful plant, cannabis. It starts with the soil. There's a difference between you know, curing processes in indoor, outdoor as well. And it, you know, also, what are you taking cannabis for? From my perspective, whether you're a recreational user or a medicinal user, yes, there is a need to differentiate that based on industry. But overall, people use cannabis because they're trying to somehow, in some different parts of themselves, heal themselves or turn certain parts off or calm themselves. Now it comes down to, let's personalize your experience. Let's work on, like, let's narrow that down. You know, if you are, oh, I'm just a recreational sleeper and it helps me, I mean, recreational user, but it helps me with sleep. Well, then you're struggling with sleep. Let's like, what's your diet like? Your whole entire experience with cannabis also, I will take it a step further, has to do with your epigenetics, your environment. How are you eating? What kind of food are you eating? Are you exercising? It's all stimulates your endocannabinoid system, and you are either not producing enough cannabinoids or you are overproducing. So the goal to cannabis, to have it really be a soothing, and I'll speak from the wellness and healing experience, is to create balance in your body. You want to live, you want to have balance, and you want to create balance for your endocannabinoid system. So that's all I just wanted to add in terms of everything else that Ruth and Leonard said. So
Very good.
That's all. Oh my God, that's a lot. And you're emphasizing the personal experience with cannabis. Like, so, and for all of you, maybe just a minute or two, what would you say to people who are afraid to use cannabis? You know, like Neil was describing his father, who might never go near it. Like, what would you say to people who are afraid of this?
can I just jump in and say, this is the example that I use. We have a system that directly connects with cannabis. It's in us. We have cannabis in our body. We produce our own endogenous cannabinoids. Number two, if your mother is breastfeeding you, the highest concentrations of cannabinoids is in the female breast milk. When the mother is feeding her child, she's strengthening the child's endocannabinoid system, and that is an exchange overall, a natural exchange. So if you're not open to plant medicine, you will, like, just, if you're not even open to learning and your endocannabinoid system and understanding the system regulates all of your natural organs, then it's, you know, you have to take a step back and evaluate like how open you are to your own health and wellness. But it's something that that lives inside of us. And by the way, we are connected to so many other plant medicines like psilocybin, all the other plant medicines that we are connected to. And so the endocannabinoid system is just this living, breathing proof inside of us that regulates our well-being overall.
One of the things let me just sneak in here. One of the things I try to make them realize, as well as the endocannabinoids that they make themselves, is to tell them that, do they know that our government has a patent on CBD?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if one side of the government is telling you, oh, it's wonderful, we have a patent on it, the other side is telling you they don't want it.
By the way, many patents. They own many patents on
on CBD. Yes, so they think it's worth it.
Good point, Ruth. Good point.
Yeah.
Leonard, do you have anything to add to this? A quick something?
Well, I love the history of it. We've been using cannabis medicinally for 5,000 years. It's in the ancient Chinese texts. And in 5,000 years, not one person has died from an overdose of cannabis. The pharmaceutical industry can't even say that about aspirin. There's no drug that won't kill you.
That's right.
So
Right.
why not try it? You're not going to die. And start low, start small, and work your way up till you find the best place that you can get out of it. And that's what I'm all about. People want someone to hold their hand and help them walk down the path. I'm here. I can do that.
I love it.
So, not everybody needs a personal coach, but if they're really nervous and uptight, then they do. Now, CBD is anti-anxiety, anti-stress, anti-aging medicine, as well as being anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective. So if somebody's really nervous, start them with CBD. Have their anxiety go down and then slowly bring in THC if it's needed. THC does help with pain. So really, we do need to use it.
Perfect. I love that. I love it. So we actually have to kind of sum everything up. Why don't each of you tell us where we can find you, and also what time you're speaking this weekend and your topic. And we'll, because everyone here is going to be able to answer all these great questions this weekend. So Ruth, where can we find you? And
I have a website, it's my name, Ruth A. Hill, RN, because there's plenty of Ruth Hills out there. And so I put my full name on ruthahillrn.com. And you can
wonderful.
get access to all my articles and sign up if you want an evaluation.
Wonderful. Ruth is going to be speaking on Saturday afternoon at the conference,
Yes.
Anya,
Yes.
and we're really looking forward to it. I loved everything you've said. Anya, tell us how they can reach you.
You can reach me at Anya at EndoDNA if you want to check out the company that I'm with currently, endodna.com. And I'm speaking on Sunday, and not promoting product. I'm just really spreading knowledge and information and empowerment through my story. Yeah.
And your stories are very powerful, plus your products we all need to know about. So
Absolutely.
So Sunday morning for Anya and Leonard.
I believe I'm speaking on Sunday at 2.
Oh, yes, you are.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've got 2 websites that I can be reached through. One is synergycbd.com, synergycbd.com. That is a medical collective in California. Personal email address is leonard@synergycbd.com. To order any products through there, you need a doctor's recommendation. And only in California. The other company I have is healingessencecbd.com. And no doctor's recommendations, no limitation to California. We're not shipping out of the country, but any of the 49 states except Idaho. Or Leonard at healingessencecbd.com. You can reach me there. I'm open to answer anybody's questions. If you're got a specific question by email, if you're going to want to do a consultation with me, I do charge for that. So
wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. This is so wonderful. I love that we're just presenting this concept of you can be well from the inside out in different ways. So we really appreciate that. Neil?
That was so amazing. Thank you all so much for the information and everything that you shared. It was all in perfect alignment with the intention for the conference, So I'm excited for this weekend because I really feel we kept the intention pure and we're going to have a really holistic perspective on this. And assist in reducing the stigma, which is what it comes down to, really, because this is a reality right now. It's happening worldwide. Entire countries that aren't even decriminalizing THC are literally only decriminalizing CBD because they can't even deny the fact that there's people being healed from this, right? It's undeniable at this point. That's why they're trying to catch up and figure something out in order to basically stop the decriminalization or even make a synthetic version of this. So I really want to just keep putting out this information, make this a routine event, and start working with more and more people so that we can come together as a community and really maintain the consciousness when it comes to the decriminalization of cannabis worldwide. So I'm excited.
Right on. Awesome. That's
Mhm.
right on, Neil. That's exactly.
Yep. And
I'm
here's
really
the
excited
website.
that you guys are giving an avenue for people to reach out and, for Anna and Ruth and me to help them, to coach them so that they feel more comfortable.
Mhm.
Thank you for putting this platform together. Really valuable.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you have some amazing speakers here. I recognize a lot of really cool, really great people that have been in the industry for a long time.
Yeah.
And not just they've done like numerous diverse things in the industry where they can introduce different variety of perspectives, which is so incredibly important. But in unison, this is an incredible plant and nobody should be afraid of it. We've evolved with it since
Yes.
mankind. By the way, I had a conversation with a company that owns over 500 original seeds. And I asked him, what is the one thing you learned from like just your experience with cannabis and learning about seeds? He's like, we have evolved with it since humanity started.
Mm.
And that's
Wow.
it. That's
Wow.
it. It was
Wow.
like so empowering. And that was just learning what's right for you.
Exactly. So please do join us this weekend. And if you have questions, I know there were some people on YouTube and Facebook that had questions. Join us this weekend. It's free or by donation. And you can ask some of the questions there. And if we have an opportunity, we will relay them to the speakers. But I do want to say that this event would not be possible if it wasn't for Joan of Angels, because, oh my God, Joan, I had the intention. We talked about what we want to do. We decided how we're going to do it, but really went above and beyond anything I could have even perceived. The amount of professionalism in doing this, the passion, the amount of interaction she had with each of the speakers is really unprecedented for a lot of the events we do, and we do a lot of them. So I just want to take this moment to thank you, Joan. You're amazing for putting this whole thing together.
Yes,
I really, really
Joan.
appreciate it.
Amazing.
Yes,
No,
Joan.
You
Thank
are
you, Joan.
I
Great job.
wanted people that would answer my questions on all levels of cannabis,
Yes.
and really share the miracle of this plant and the fact that finally we're free to share it with the world. So I'm so
Right.
excited to meet all of you. And Neil, your trust in me is like a cannabinoid. It's just very exciting.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, for sure.
that's
Cool.
so cute.
All
Awesome.
right. I think we're good for today. Any closing thoughts, Joan?
Just, you know what? Cannabis is like pure love essence in your body. And if you allow it to heal you and work with you, it will, and it will change you in many ways. Just listening to the stories today, it's changed each and every one of us here.
Oh,
And
yes.
so I hope you join us, please. It's a revolution.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is. It's
Join
a
us-
healing
join us
revolution.
out
We
there.
didn't even mention COVID, but I know the panelists and I probably all have a thought that building up your own immune system is the key to
Yes.
personal freedom,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Totally.
CBD works on COVID, both preventing it and if you
Yes,
have
I
COVID,
think
it
so.
is
Yeah. There was a study
absolutely
that just
the
came out.
medicine
Yeah.
for COVID. It really
Yeah.
works.
Anya?
Good.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
study?
Yeah.
Oh, if you guys are interested, I'll send it to you.
Good. Okay.
Press on some
Perfect.
studies
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
COVID
That's good.
and
Oh,
CBD.
Perfect.
I'll be talking
All right.
about it in my presentation.
Oh, well, there
Oh,
you go.
good,
got-
good.
got-
There you go.
I've
You
got
don't
the
even
latest
need my link.
research. I got some good charts.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Leonard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gotta get
Lots of amazing info about to come be
Yeah,
Yes.
shared in the
All
next 2
kinds.
days.
All
Yeah.
kinds. Even if you want a job in cannabis, one of our speakers is going to talk to you about that. So I think we've covered all the bases, Neil.
Yeah, we did. All right, everybody. Well, thank
Perfect.
you
Talk
all
to
so
you
much to the panelists. Thank you, Joan.
Okay,
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Have
Have a good
a
weekend.
great day, everyone. See you over the weekend.
okay,
Yes.
bye-bye.
All right. Okay.
See y'all
Thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Yep,
Bye.
Bye.